England v India Test series is not the only England v India series that is ongoing at the moment. The women, England that is, are also hosting India in what's proving to be a bit of a silly season T20 series. So India went 2-0 up. England then nabbed it back at 2-1. I just want to bring up the scorecard here because England lost 9 wickets in the final 5 overs at the Oval. They did eventually somehow secure a victory. So after 15 overs, they were 137 for no loss. That's good. They then failed to go a stretch of 5 deliveries without losing a wicket. So they finished 171 for 9. India then in reply were 85 for none after 9 overs. And they mucked it up. They fell short. They only lost 5 wickets, but they fell short, and England won by 11 runs, by 5 runs even, to keep the series alive. But the most exciting thing to come out of that match was Lauren Filer, who was bowling gas. 3 of the 10 fastest ever recorded overs by women. That'll be by multiple people. By women, by Filer in that match. And those are your numbers, Ben Jones. Talk us through it.
Thank you very much. Yes, those are Crickmiss's own numbers brackets via Hawkeye. It's an obsession of mine, I think, on the sly with women's cricket is the pace race. I'm really engaged with women's cricket, finding, nurturing, developing, and exploring the options to make bowlers faster. Not because they need to in order to make it a compelling spectacle. Women's cricket is fantastic. However, it introduces a whole new element to the game. We see different scoring areas. We see different strokes. We see batters responding differently. There is a different heat and intensity to the spectacle when there is fast bowling. And this was quick. This was as you say, it wasn't just 3 of the top 5. It was the quickest over we have seen in international women's cricket from Lauren Filer. It's very much like likely place to see her kind of areas. I think we all probably expected her to break that record at some point because she is right up there with the fastest bowlers that the game has ever seen, and this just proves that. But I think as part of England's this overhaul that they're going through, I know Filer's been around for a while. I feel like trying to mark themselves out from other teams in the game who maybe have more class with the bat, or slightly deeper, not pockets but deeper kind of resources in terms of India and Australia. I think having these kind of outlier skills in their attack is really important, and it was nice that I know Filer still went for runs. I think she went for 30 odd for 4 overs, but these are big, serious tracking numbers that we're recording. And as a man who hates scorecards and loves data, loves querying, loves individual Hawk data points, this was a mega week for me.
Lauren Filer afterwards, I think it's an interview that's on the BBC. I don't know if she was saying it specifically to them about the kind of 80 mile an hour landmark. She said, it's not necessarily a personal milestone for myself, but actually proving women can get to that milestone and hopefully others can follow as well. I don't want it to just be 1 or 2 people. We want loads of women to be able to be bowling at that speed. I think I thought it was interesting when you said there kind of like that more resources are going into women's cricket, because I think we see it with the men's game where, kind of use this line before, like batting is cricket's nurture to bowling's nature. When you look at any of the people to kind of have a rapid out of nowhere rise to professional game, it's almost always with a ball in hand. So Tamal Mills first played cricket when he was like 14, 15, because he was like, I can do this really well. My body can do this. If you look to Pakistan, you have so many tape ball players who come out of playing tape ball, bowling gas. And so I'm interested to know like how that translates to the women's game. If it will be similar in that it will just be the general growth of the game, where players with the physiological capabilities to bowl 80 mile an hour emerge, or it will be from England, India, Australia, where there is the most cash, and they can kind of train these players up. I think that'll be an interesting thing to keep one's eye on over the coming years. Go on, Ben.
I would say there's a very interesting piece by Ding the Bell, Tim Wigmore, talking about this, about the pace that is potentially there for women's cricket. And I think one of the hypotheticals ideas that he spoke to a lot of people, academic researchers in the area, who said that one of the things that they would, if you were creating a hothouse to create fast female bowlers, it would be taking athletes who are going into track and
seen this.
field events.
Yeah.
Track and field events at 13, 14 and are, physically gifted, whether it's height or, shoulder breadth or whatever, all those markers that people use to, and talk about percentiles, all that kind of stuff. And then trying to bring them across into cricket. And one of the issues they have at the moment with doing that is that economically or like financially, it's not been there. It's not been an opportunity. It's not been available to them to bring these athletes across. But that is changing, and that dynamic and those the funds available are increasing, and that's a product of lots of schemes across the board, obviously. But I think to your point about whether or not it's going to be the product of a carefully honed ECB talent production line, or someone from Stellenbosch just turns out to be absolutely rapid. I still kind of think it's going to be the latter. It's going to be some 6'5" Praetorian who just comes out of nowhere and bowls absolute doom seeds. And I think it will happen at some point in the next 5 years, and I'm very excited for when it does.
It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And a word for Jack Brooks, actually, the Somerset bowler, I think he is now. He actually did loads and loads of work with Lauren Filer a couple of years ago, and they've remodeled her action, and she credits him with a lot of the kind of new pace that she's found. England women have named a squad for their ODIs. Nat Sciver-Brunt is back, having missed the T20s with injury, and Sophie Eccleston is back, which, well, it was a bit of a read between the lines omission when the first Charlotte Edwards squad came out. The easiest way for that to have happened would have been, well, Eccleston hasn't played a game for Lancashire, she's not fit, so we haven't picked her. On the day the squad was being announced, she played for Lancashire, and they were like, oh, she's not ready yet. So it was a bit of a statement drop, inverted commas, but she is back, and well, she was always going to be. She's one of the best bowlers in the world. MS Dhoni, this is more good stuff. He's trademarked the phrase Captain Cool as he looks to expand his personal brand. Adam's attached a beautiful article from Cricket Exec here where Dhoni is lounging on a leather chair in a blue suit and looks dashing. He really does. The problem is, if he's wanting to kind of, I've just realised it's not Captain Cool as in I'm a cool guy. It's Captain Cool as in I'm a cool personality. I'm relaxed. I'm calm.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna need you just to talk about this because I'm a bit bemused. I don't really understand. I think it's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever heard. But that's a cerebral. No, it's the opposite of cerebral. It's an initial reaction.
That was like watching a dog learn how to read, watching you discover that story in real time. Look, ultimately, regardless of what you want the word cool to mean, when I think of cool, I think of legal maneuvers to protect individual brand intellectual property in order to further my own personal wealth and brand exposure. That's what I think of when I think of cool. I don't think of skateboarding and cracking open a few IPAs with the boys. It's all about IP protection. Look, it's inevitable. This happens. The most famous people in the world.
It wasn't inevitable.
It's inevitable.
MS Dhoni called himself Captain Cool.
I think you're forgetting / revealing to the world that you didn't know that he was called Captain Cool for the last 20 years. That is his nickname. What he is doing that is inevitable is he is seeking to take that nickname. An organic, beautiful moment.
I've lost another game by taking it deep. Fucking cool stuff, mate.
He has taken this opportunity to protect his brand by, enshrining it in law that he gets money and no one else can use it when he's not there, when he's not present or given his permission. Again, cool. It's actually, to zoom out slightly, it's an interesting pivot point because we do see this kind of thing happening in other sports a lot. We see it in basketball, particularly in American sports. It's a big thing about athletes trying to enshrine their right to benefit and profit from things around there, not just image rights, but these kind of slightly more intangible things. We see it less in England because I think we rightly find it crass, embarrassing, a bit pathetic, and a bit lame, and inorganic, and maybe in some ways against the fabric of of being a supporter and being a fan in the slightest. I wouldn't commit to that on record in front of the man himself. Yeah, I have. Unfortunately, he is a Patreon, isn't he? He's on the Discord. He lurks. But no, it's funny because come on, man, it's not cool. It is quite literally uncool.
MS, tough lines for you to hear that from Ben, but someone needs to tell you. The World Club Championship. In theory, it's coming in 2026. For those unaware, this is basically the Champions League of cricket. It's bringing together the global franchise leagues to provide some context. I'm going to go top line here. I think in terms of a competition that's needed, that provides some context to the world game where all these people are flying around playing for the same people in different coloured kit. I can't remember which friend it was who said to me, but they wanted someone to make a supercut of Sunil Narine bowling to Quinton de Kock, and to be like, at any time, somewhere in the world, Sunil Narine is bowling to Quinton de Kock. And just to kind of look, in the one hand, the burst, the explosion of franchise cricket, you can say it's a good thing because it's more people watching cricket, playing cricket. But on the other hand, it just like, it's naff and no one cares about it, basically. So if something brings it all together and there's a gap in the window where they can do it, fine, I'm up for that.
Is that a question? Sorry, Cam. Was that?
Well, I just thought you were going to talk about it.
It felt like something of a rant against modern cricket. I'll defend franchise cricket from your craven boomer-esque rant.
No, I want you to talk about the World Club Championship.
I'm about to. I would say this is off the back of a piece that Matt Roller did on ESPN Cricket Info about a month ago, and it's been kind of iterated variously elsewhere. I think there are two important things to say about this. One is that it's definitely a good thing for some kind of inter-tournament because it gives context. It allows greater context to cricket that at the moment lacks it. And I think it is really important to have that. I care about watching the winner of the SA20, whether it's Pretoria Capitals, brackets my team, who are beautiful and wonderful, or everyone else who are less so. I care about watching them up against Oval Invincibles who've just won the 100. I care about seeing them against the winners of the Bangladesh Premier League. I think that could be exciting and fun. I think it's not just about the commercials. It's like there are players who play for these sides who don't play international cricket. It gives a whole new tier to them. So if you're a domestic South African who sneaks in on a base price contract for Sunrisers Eastern Cape and sneaks in and bowls a brilliant over in the final and as a result wins it, and then suddenly you're playing against the winners of the IPL at Lord's in front of a packed crowd, it's awesome. That's a really cool story and it adds a lot of context. The problem is, Cam, at the moment, I don't think the IPL or the PSL teams will be involved. That seems to be quite a significant sticking point due to I'm going to say previously explored global politics. So that's quite a problem with the tournament because it is essentially like saying we'll have the Champions League, but we won't have anyone from England or anyone from La Liga or anyone from the Bundesliga.
Yeah. So for people just kind of tuning in for the first time, can you just kind of start at the beginning? Why would the IPL and PSL not want to play against each other?
Thanks, Cam. The issue we have with the IPL, I'm going to take you sincerely and get myself arrested. No, the issue we have is with the IPL is that there's obviously the power and the significance and the relevance of the BCCI and the IPL as an entity means that there is always going to be an advantage given to that team if they are involved. Mumbai Indians are not going to accept a level playing field, and rightly, because they will be bringing 99% of the eyeballs and the money behind it. And you can roll your eyes as much as you like, but it is a commercial reality. It's a bad commercial reality. I don't like it, but it is the way of the world. So what we need to arrive at in order to make this competition actually work is to overcome two obstacles. One obstacle is the question of what happens if a player plays for multiple teams. So if you, Cameron Ponsonby, play for the winners of the Big Bash, the winners of the 100 and the winners of the IPL, who do you play for? He's rolling out a few offies on the screen as we speak. Well, I've done the numbers on this many a time and basically said if you insist that if you play for your home team, so if in this instance, if you play for Oval Invincibles and Brisbane Heat, if they both qualify for the club championship, you have to play for Oval Invincibles. You're a South London man. That's where you go and play your cricket. If you do that, it's actually, there's basically no overlap. It works. The tournament has structure. The other obstacle, which I'm going to suggest is slightly harder to overcome, is the question of the IPL aren't going to be involved in a tournament which also involves the PSL. And that is above my pay grade and above the guy above me's pay grade and above the guy above that pay grade. So yeah, if they can resolve that, then Richard Gould, fair play to you, brother. But for now, I think it's good that we are moving in that direction because it'd be a good comp. It'd be
I
fun,
think
but
I agree with you.
I think it's a way away.
I hope in my initial kind of description, I do. I am broadly in favour. No, not even broadly. I am in favour of contextualising these things. 'Cause I think, and then it will make each individual competition better as well. Because if someone wins the CPL or whatever it is, you're like, oh, cool, you get to do this now, basically. And I think that's good. In one of the many global competitions, MLC, Glenn Maxwell, friend of the show, he's going well over in the US. He's got 3 thirds, scored a ton against the Los Angeles Knight Riders in what must have been a very proud moment in his career. I'm actually wearing my Washington Freedom shorts, as I always do. I always find this funny because, well, it was so helpful. So I'd actually be amazed if anyone listening to this. Yeah, 2 years ago I was their social media admin, and obviously like players just leave all their stuff because they're like, I don't need 16 pairs of like training kit from around the world. Whereas for me, I was like, this is so useful. So I just picked up 3 sets of shorts, do me really well, enjoy it. I also got one of the best bit of kit was the long sleeve playing jumper. I nabbed one of those, and then I stayed at a friend of mine's in Melbourne, a friend of ours actually, and I was like, oh mate, I'll grab you a bottle of wine or something. He's like, no, I don't need anything. I went, oh mate, I'll give you the Washington Freedom playing jumper. He went, yeah, that's perfect. And I went, no, I didn't mean it. I'd offered to do the washing up at a friend's house, expecting them to say no, and they went, no, yeah, fucking sponges there, mate. It's the second swear of the episode. Bad stuff. I'm just so comfortable.
This is quite rude. I mean, is that a shout out for our friend Tim? I think it might be.
Yeah, it is indeed. It is indeed.
I would say
Anyway,
that I've got an equivalent story. I wasn't a social media admin, but I was probably about as important to the success of or the otherwise of the team when I worked for Welsh Fire in 2022. And at the end of that season, when we'd lost our 8th game out of 8 at Trent Bridge, yeah, it's good month. One of a prominent player within the dressing room. In a what I can only describe as a fairly unsubtle declaration of his refusal to come back next year, put his helmet in the bin. And obviously as an up and coming boy at the time, as a 27-year-old, in requirement of cricket gear, I thought, well, I'm going to leave that. So I yoinked that out, and now, yeah, international cricketer Welsh Fire helmet, a nice Missouri helmet. So it's shiny, nice. It's beautiful. I wear it to last man stands, and I miss the ball a lot. So that's what I got out of that. I didn't get a pair of shorts, but I did get a very high quality bit of kit.
But do you play last man stands with a Welsh Fire lid?
I certainly do, sir.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Right, since we're on the topic of English domestic cricket, the county championship. Look, Surrey back on top now. They've overtaken Nottinghamshire, so that kind of title race is on. One of the real quirks of the county championship, which we'll get onto, is they only play each other once this year, which is infuriating. But that match is going to be in September. I think it's either the penultimate or the third last round of the competition at the Oval, which is going to be a blockbuster. It was the second of 4 Kookaburra rounds in the county champ, and there was 31 centuries, the most ever scored in a round. And I think the only interesting thing I think there is still to talk about the Kookaburra, because it's been spoken about to death, and I'm bored of it myself, is this an example of why the Kookaburra absolutely shouldn't be used because of how many runs were scored? Or is this evidence of the exact reason why Andrew Strauss and the ECB thought it was necessary to get the Kookaburra ball in English domestic bowlers' hands because no one was skillful enough to take wickets with it?
It's a bit of both, isn't it, Cam? I would say we've all had this conversation so many times. Everyone listening has heard it so many times. On.
That's fine.
No, but I've not had it. I want to have my 30 seconds on it, which is that. Yeah, thank you very much. What I would say is that I am broadly in favour of tweaking and gimmickifying county cricket, because ultimately it is there to produce players for international cricket, and you can talk about whether or not that's its sole aim or where the level should be apportioned in terms of its commitment to members or its fans in general. But ultimately, its primary aim is that's who it is funded by the ECB. It should be to the benefit of the ECB, and as a result, they should be allowed to do whatever the heck they like to it in order to help produce players. The problem
Such
is, I don't think
madman.
this helps produce. I don't think this. At the end of the day, I'm a commercial man. I'm many things. I'm a Boxing Day man. I'm a Constance man.
Yeah.
I'm a commercial behemoth. I just think that this doesn't actually help develop players because the players that they want to be learning from it are already in the England setup. Bryden Cast should be there
Yeah,
bowling with the
this is
Kookaburra. Archer should be bowling with the Kookaburra. Atkinson should be bowling with the Kookaburra. Like it's fine if you were playing it on rock hard whacker imported surfaces, that's
yeah.
fine. But they're not. They're playing it on English feather beds with a ball that is not suited to it. So you just see slow runs and no wicket taking threat. You could be as fast as you like. You're not taking wickets on this thing, and it's yeah. I think it needs a reassessment. But I really, genuinely, wholeheartedly admire the willingness to try stuff, to try and innovate, because otherwise, what the hell are we all here for? We're just going to play like Darren Stevens cricket for 8 months of the year. That's not what we need to do to make the England team successful. So get stuck in, but do something else.
I completely agree in that it's so much better to criticize action than to criticize inaction. And yes, to kind of answer my initial point about is this evidence of why it should be there rather than not, rather than evidence that it should never be done again. Ben Stokes basically said like there's ways to find wickets, but Yuzvendra Chahal 0 for 150 for Northamptonshire, Will O'Rourke got tap as well. Like people who are very good international bowlers really struggled as well. On that note of kind of the quirk of the fixture and the fact that Surrey are only playing Nottinghamshire once in what will be a title showdown, they've responded to the fixture review, which basically there's a number of scenarios where they're potentially going to be cutting short the number of county championship games from 14 to 12. There are kind of three broad possibilities at the current stage, but that is moving all the time. One of them, and it's basically 18 is an awkward number. That's all you need to know, because I think it's a genuine absurdity and nonsense and like devalues and undermines the competition enormously that in your premier level of the sport, teams do not play each other twice. It is crazy. The number of times in the last few years where Surrey have only either played Hampshire or Essex once when they're the two teams challenging at the top is insane. If Liverpool and Man City only played once across a Premier League season, there would be uproar. And the only reason we're able to do it in cricket is because no one pays attention. And there's a level of apathy that's attached to it. But like, think about it, it's nuts. Sorry, to be fair, in the most part, I'm being in favour of cutting the number of fixtures if you're able to then achieve playing each other twice. Because I think a lower number of games is a price worth paying if you raise the quality and the integrity of the competition. Surrey, however, have backed the option where you swap it round and there's an 8-team Division 1 and a 10-team Division 2, or maybe two conferences of 5. And then that 8-team Division 1 will see 14 matches played home and away. And they gave, I thought, a really strong statement for it. They've beaten the attendance record for the highest 21st century county championship attendance, I think 4 times this year, 3 or 4 times. There are 6,500 people in at the Kia Oval on a Friday. Yes, I work for them, so there's an element of bias here. But I think they make a fairly strong point where they go, look, rather than this being a thing that we think is fading and dying, we're seeing our attendances go up and up and up. I think it's doubled or gone up by X percentage in the last 4 or 5 years. If every other first-class ground can get transported directly next to a tube station, everything will be good.
It's mad, isn't it? It is mad, the ability to get people on a sunny day in South London to travel a very, very short amount of time to go and watch pretty high quality cricket with 3 Birra Morettis in hand. It's amazing. It's a relatively
But you
straightforward
say
business
that
model. Why?
snarkily, but like that is a good thing to
I do,
get. Like,
and I go. I'm one of the people that goes there, so I'm fully on the team. I think we don't, and I think for obvious reasons, given the employment details of the various people who do this podcast, I'm sure I'm not going to go too heavy on the anti-Surrey energy. But I would say that opportunity for them to. They're a unique county in so many
For sure,
ways,
for sure,
and
for sure.
that's kind of why they're great. Is because they are unique. They have these opportunities that other places don't. I think that to zoom back to what you were saying about the integrity, I don't have a strong opinion. Remarkably, I'm fence sitting, but I would say that I am very much team integrity and pay the price of less cricket. I think higher quality cricket, higher intensity, higher integrity cricket is infinitely better than a couple of games that are wandering off in a vague contextless void. I think that's where the sport does not thrive. And so yeah, I'm team taut, team
Yeah.
tight, and team straight up and down.
There's also going to be a little reduction to number of fixtures in the Blast group stage, which is so necessary. The Blast is impossible to follow, even as two people who are quite literally paid to pay attention to it. You blink, and there's been another 9 matches. These back-to-back days. Lancashire fell foul of it again the other day. The men's team had back-to-back fixtures, and like Saki Mahmood goes down injured on the second day, and you're just like, this is so dumb. Like, you got guys leaving stadiums at like midnight, getting home off the bus at 4 a.m, waking up again 7 hours later to get to another game. It is bonkers. It's the longest groups that we all take the piss out of the IPL for being too long. The only other group stage in world cricket which is as long as the IPL is the Blast, and after however many games of cricket, all the jeopardy that's on the line is you need to finish 4th out of 9 to get to then the quarterfinals. Rubbish format. Really, really don't like it. So if that's trimmed down a little bit, good, like that. They're leaving the One Day Cup as it is. Something needs to be played. You know what? The structure and schedule chat has been done so much. I'm moving on. I'm sure you've all heard it before. Sai Kishore has been signed for 2 games by Surrey. Again, more Kookaburra stuff, which is like, they need a spinner. They've signed a gun from India. Gujarat Titans connection. We think, and it's pretty widely accepted, that this is the Vikram Solanki connection, who's obviously worked across both clubs or counties or franchises, whatever word you want to use. Finally, hey, a roundup of the Vitality Blast. Don't worry about it. Just check it tomorrow. Like, there's no point in trying to keep track of it. Joss Butler's back playing. Phil Salt's playing. There was an interesting thing with Phil Salt where his bat failed the bat's gauge test once, but they've kind of just moved on and it was all fine. News from the 100 is that Deepti Sharma is having to skip out on this competition. I saw one Indian journalist, I believe it was Shashank Kishore, kind of going, like, her schedule was packed. She was always going to have to lose something, and it turns out it was the 100. And her numbers from last year are incredible. Let me get these
unreal.
up.
Like, I think she averaged well north of 100 and almost won, various games single-handedly. She's a brilliant player in this format. You've seen a big number. I can see it in your eyes.
It's
You've
so
seen a
good.
big, lovely number.
Deepti Sharma's 2024 100 stats. With the ball, 8 wickets in 8 matches at a very respectable average of 22.12. With the bat, she averaged 212. Six
Good on her.
innings, 5 not outs, 212
Superb.
runs, an average of 212, strike rate 130, and she hit the 6 that won the competition as well. The women's blast, that's been women's blast, great competition. Love the women's blast. Only 8 teams, neat and tidy, easy to keep track of. Surrey, kind of the runaway favourites there at the moment. They're top of the table with only 1 loss, and they're being challenged by the Blaze, who, well, when I said Surrey runaway people at the top of the table, they're actually second. So that's good. The Blaze have played 1 more game, though. Keep an eye on that.
What was it you said about the blast being difficult to follow? Because
the women's
suddenly
one's actually
I'm
fine.
doubting your intellectual capacity if you can't even follow an 8-team tournament and know who's top, mate.
That's true. But finals day for the women's blast is in, I think, 2 Sundays' time, and it'll be a great day down at, I think that's at the Akira Oval as well. That's well worth getting involved in. Well, Ben,